2 of Fantasy Hockey Picks and Bets. I am your host, DJ Mitchell, here to go over an interesting Monday slate. I say that because it is a late one. It is like I don't think I've seen a later slate than this one before. I'm back in Buffalo. If you're watching this, new poster to my what is it? My left, your I don't know whatever. But you're watching this, I don't know how it reverts as you're editing. Yeah, back in Buffalo feels good. You got a jersey back on. Going with the Vegas. Still put the tags on. I'm gonna get a name put on the back. I want to get Theodore, but we'll move past that to the slate. 6 games, and it's a late one. The first game starts at 8 Eastern time, and there's 4 games start 10 or later. So yeah, get some extra coffee in you and stay up all night with me as we watch some big potential murders, and we also watch some useless games. I don't, there's one game with playoff implications to end the night. So we'll go right through them all. I'm going to try to keep this somewhat quick. I really don't know if there's a lot of value in too much at this point in the year. A lot of stuff at this point, you really can't narrative. I love looking into the numbers and the math and all that stuff. And you can throw some of it out the window at some point. You never know. Like we just saw on Sunday, like Matthews just didn't play. And I don't know if there's an injury to know of. It kind of seems surprising to me though. Like maybe I missed something, but Matthews not playing seemed a little strange. So with all of that being said, let's get right into it. Let's talk about, the first game is really one that I'm struggling with. And I know that the right answer is very simple. It's just Calgary, just take them all day. They're playing Chicago. It's in Chicago. I want to, I want to just jump all the way in on Calgary and feel good about it. I do worry that when there's a lot of chalk on each slate, a lot of times I've seen it with other people. They're like, well, let's just take like all of their puck lines. And it just never works. I'm not saying it can't work and it won't work here. I do think that the line is pretty fair too. I expected it to be a bit worse, minus 110 on the puck line for Calgary. They're minus 290. I guess I'll give you all the lines, and it's shading as an over 6 at minus 120. I really like I think the over's solid. I think Calgary could score. Chicago's been really bad. I'm not going to try to come in here and tell you any different. They've not been good at all. They've been a little bit better. They've been a touch better defensively, and the goaltending, it's not good. They're giving up 4 goals a game. I can't see too many scenarios where this game doesn't lead to Calgary's favor, but I really do think you're betting on that second goal. I know they just went out and just massacred the AHL, Tucson Roadrunners / Arizona Coyotes. I get that you might want to put it again. I'm fine with it. Like, I think it's a good bet. I don't know if I'm going to mix it in my mix too much, just because I would rather, I think Carolina is a much better bet against Arizona. I think that Vegas is also just as good, if not a better bet against the Devils. It's like, man, do I really want to mix in all of these puck lines? All at minus money. I don't love doing that just because it feels like a ton of variance. 2-goal wins kind of can come down to garbage. It'd be more luck than anything. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it, but I don't see an exorbitant amount of value here. I think there's going to be more value on the Chicago side in general from a DFS perspective for sure, because number one, no one is probably going to play it. Not no one, but you're going to get very low ownership on the DeBrincat, Kane, Strome line. And there just won't be a line that gets more minutes together. 5-on-5 and power play. Last game, they lost 4-3 to Nashville, as I started by saying. And Kane had 26 minutes, DeBrincat 24, and Strome 22, and there was no overtime. These guys played unbelievable amount. And I know they got a lot of power play run, which helped, but that is quite a bit of time together. And I think that this Calgary team with, Vladar in net is what I assume. They might just be a little bit leakier than maybe we give them credit for. They've been great defensively. They've been great in really most capacities, but I don't have a ton of faith in Vladar, especially, I think he might be in, maybe not, but I think he'll probably be in here to give Markstrom a break. And if that's the case, I don't trust him. I do think that this game is going to be just fine. I bet I'm getting worried for no reason. And we're going to get, 5-1. And I'm just going to be like, I'm an idiot. Should have just, taken a boosted puck line, but 2.5. But this game just makes me feel a little bit on edge, a little bit queasy. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I watched the Blackhawks recently and they didn't look completely inept, but I don't know. I think I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to sit this one out and we're going to see what happens. I don't have a ton of interest in props, but I'm going to be looking at what DeBrincat, Kane, and Strome are for a point and maybe betting them. Calgary 1 is amazing, but am I really going to take a ton of 2-point props here on a Monday night? I don't know. Maybe not. I'm going to have to give it another look. Shot wise, I think it's probably Gaudreau, but if it's really juiced at -2.5 or over 2.5, I don't, maybe, he's putting up about 5-6 shot attempts per game. So is Lindholm, who's been closer to even money. So I might just go with Lindholm again. I know it's burned me a couple times, but he just should be hitting more. I can't, just because the guy's getting unlucky doesn't mean he can't get there. He burned me a couple times, but then he hit 3 in a row, actually. So I feel like I bet him every single night. So I must have hit 3 in a row with him. I guess I didn't even remember. I know the Arizona one was like close till the end and he got the 3. But anyways, we'll move forward to a game that I think is at least more interesting, in my opinion. Washington at Colorado. Plus 120 for Colorado by more than 1. Both these teams, if you combine what they put up last game, both of them combined, it would be 15 goals. I don't know if that's going to happen here again, but Colorado put up 7 against Carolina, who is really the best defensive team in the league by most metrics, at least over the last 10, and really, quite frankly, pretty much on the year. So I do think they'll be able to put up goals. I don't think Washington is incredibly sound in net. Defensively, they're okay. I think they're fine. I think Washington will find ways to score too. This Colorado team is actually giving up quite a bit more shot attempts than you think. They're actually 5th worst in the league in Corsi for 60 and all strengths over the last 10. So I think there's shots to be had here. I think Ovi over on his shots is a pretty good bet. McKinnon obviously seems good, over 3.5, both of them. That's probably where I'll lean. I think there just will be a lot of pace in this game in general. I normally take these games over 6.5, -125 kind of feels like garbage. I think it could get there, but I think they're really basing this strongly off of like the 1 game sample size. I don't think this game really is like an absolute definite 7, but I'd like to bet just fine. Not going to really touch the money line or the puck lines here. Maybe Colorado, but I doubt it. They feel like the team is going to keep rolling, but I'd rather not. I think there's enough props to get into in this game. Guys like Lehkonen, maybe even to score again. I just kind of been jamming it. He just keeps playing on the top power play. So, if he gets 1 in 4 games, you're good. And I think he should be hitting more than that with his shot. Playing with Burakovsky now and Comfer, which definitely boosts Nertushkin, who is now the guy to put in your point prop bets. And I'll definitely be having that. Nertushkin was on the first power play as well. So he feels like a slam dunk for a point. Probably my favorite bet in that game. Carolina at Arizona. Well, rest in peace to the Tucson Roadrunners. They're so bad. I don't know. It's not fun anymore. That might be the way to put it. Like, I don't like watching this team. I kind of just refuse to turn on games with Arizona in them because it's just not good. They don't have anything. I mean, okay, we'll keep going though. They've been pretty bad defensively, but honestly, they're trending in the right direction, and that might just because teams are giving them some mercy. I really can't explain it because they don't look any better on really anything except like teams just aren't shooting as much. I think honestly it could be because they're up by so many goals that they just stop. And for that reason, Arizona's getting a few more shots. Maybe just being down by that much is doing that because there's really nothing else leading me to that result. The over 6 is tough to bet for me because I don't trust Arizona to score a single goal. As I mentioned, Carolina's defense, I know they gave up 4, but they're still one of the best defensive teams in the league. I think if you're going to bet anything here to feel good about it, they have Carolina and the under 6.5 for plus 120. I kind of like that a lot. I just don't have a lot of faith in what's it called? The Roadrunners. Sorry. That's the AHL team for Arizona, by the way. If you're wondering why I keep saying that, I don't trust the Tucson Roadrunners to score more than 1 goal. I might bet that as well. I might just bet the under, the under 2.5 or the under 1.5 goals. And I don't know if Carolina's going to score 5, like if it has 5-1, that's okay, fine. I'm also going to take Carolina -2.5. I want to get it at plus money. So, but I really do think Carolina and the under 6.5 feels pretty good. Maybe even under 6, but Do whatever you want. I'm in on that though. I think that's probably the better way of going about this game in general. A lot of props are going to be somewhat out of contention for Carolina. Like I said, the shot props are going to be tricky. If they get up by 3 and just kind of stop shooting, you're going to be really mad at yourself. So I don't know if I'm going to go shots. I think there's just a better, I guess, avenue for them to score more goals, like above their shooting, if you will. So like basically, if you take an aggregate of 10 shots per goal, I think they end up with more than, around 30 shots, maybe to 32 shots, and they end up with 4 or 5 goals. So I just would rather go points. If anyone ever wondering why I pick points over the shots, it's because I believe there will be more goals per the 10 shot attempts type of narrative. It's not always the case. Sometimes there is a mispricing in general, but that's kind of what I lead to. I definitely think that that's the best avenue for this game to go. And it's not always. I mean, you got to game script this, what your model tells you, and go from there. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards here in general. Do whatever you want here. You could bet it minus, if you can find Carolina minus 4.5, go right ahead. I don't know. I mean, whatever. This is not an NHL team playing against one of the best teams in the league. So if you feel good about it, go right ahead. Carolina last game did do Svechnikov, Aho, Jarvis, Trocheck, Domi, and Teravainen, and then the stall line. I like Nino Niederreiter to get a point. I think that the stall and Fast Niederreiter line is really good, and they should just absolutely crush defensively and possession-wise whoever they play against. So the Niederreiter point seems fine. He has second power play, but he's just a good shooter. He only has 12 minutes against Colorado, but they were getting beaten up. So I'm going to throw that out. But if he's plus money again, I've seen him there before, even right around the mean. I think he finds a way to get a point. So we'll move on. I love Vegas. I'm wearing the jersey. I think that this game is going to be an easy one for me to bet Vegas. The puck line here. I know that they got Mike Smith, if you will, against Edmonton. I mean, this team, I wouldn't say badly outplayed. They really didn't have a ton of high quality chances while they had like 39 shots or 40 shots. So they need to figure that out. I don't know what it is, but they really need to find a way to get more high danger scoring chances. And what better team to do it against than New Jersey, who just really can give them up like no one else. So I think this is a massive get right spot and an absolute must win game. It won't be shocking to anyone to hear that New Jersey without Jack Hughes is just not good. They're not terrible, but they're not good. They were trending in the right direction. Like I was really struggling to have to bet this New Jersey team a lot more than they were winning with Jack Hughes, but now that they don't have him, it's just kind of a meh team in general. Top power play, they had to go back to Bastion in front of the net with Brett, Hamilton, Hischier, Zacha. I'm not really interested in betting any of these guys for much. None of them are blowing the doors off, but Brett was back with Hischier. They buried Zetterlund. I rest in peace to my king, who scored for me at plus like 600. Those days are over, but he only saw 11 minutes. So I think guys like Hischier, Brett, Sharangovich, Zacha are like in play. Zacha on that top power play might be a guy to consider for something, but I'm not going to probably go there. I'm a lot more interested in what this Vegas team can do. It's going to come through Eichel probably, but I do think that Pacioretty's shot prop is something I'm definitely going to be jamming. Eichel is much better for the point. I had him against Edmonton. That was like one of my favorite bets of the entire day at minus like 160. We'll see what it is here, but I probably bet a good amount of point props from Vegas. Probably Pietrangelo, Theodore, Eichel, Pacioretty, Stone, probably just grab ball and hope that they blow the doors off New Jersey. And I think they will. So I'm pretty confident in if any of these lines, I like Vegas at home a lot. And I think that'll be popular. I do understand people that might say something like, well, like Calgary is less likely to beat Chicago than Vegas is to beat the Devils. But I really do think that at this point in the year, you should take into account the narrative surrounding the team. Vegas loses this game, it's done. I mean, their season's cooked. So I think they'll get it done. So I'm okay with that there myself. The next game, Ottawa at Seattle. Yeah, it's ugly. It's not fun. I did retweet about the Ottawa Senators all out at karaoke a couple nights before the game, having a good time. That's good to see. We saw, an Ottawa team show up and almost knock off Toronto. And I've kind of been banging the drum on this team a bit, saying that they're just a little bit better than people give them credit for. I've been a huge fan of Stützle. I've been, kind of touting him a bit more than maybe I should have for a while. And then he just really started to prove me right real fast. So This team ran 11-7 last game. They had Brady and Norris go kind of crazy with minutes and kind of usage and kind of everything. I'm pretty in on this team. Connor Brown was up with that top line, Bathurst and Stussel and Formetten. All of those, that top six, all the top six are over 20 minutes of ice time, which is pretty cool. They're just really, really trying to win and trying to get some optimism going forward. So I'm pretty in on that. I have no interest in any of their defensemen, especially if they go 11-7 again. But I really do think that you could do a 3-4 man stack here. Batherson, Norris, Stutzel, Brady make the most sense. I'm hopeful Batherson finds his way back to the top line, but I'm not overly bullish. I also do hate the fact it's against Seattle because they're pretty good at shot suppression, but they do give up a lot of goals. They're betting a lot of point props on Ottawa, and I'm going to be betting Ottawa to win the game in general. -105. I think they're the better team. And like I said, there's good vibes and a better team. Put those two together, I'm going to bet it. So Ottawa, one of my favorite bets of the night at -105. And Seattle, I'm not that interested. I just really all I got to say here. I think they're not back-to-back, right? Am I losing my mind? No, they're not. They're not in the back-to-back. Okay, sorry. But the thing about Seattle in general is that they are a team that really rolls four lines. Unlike Ottawa, unlike Chicago, I don't have much interest in them in DFS for that reason. Guys like Matt Beniers are really showing up and playing amazing. So he's in consideration set with Donato as like a two-man. Maybe you just go all in on this game and game stack it. I'm okay with that. Matt Beniers get a point. I'm probably going to score again. I didn't last time out, and he did. I think I just missed it. It was a super late game, and I just didn't end up betting it. But I'm okay to get back to it here. Matt Beniers probably really cheap in DFS. We can look. I have the power. Matt Beniers 2,800. That feels like a really good price, especially as a bring back in this Ottawa game. The shot volume's been not great, but I think he's going to start to get there. So I think that you could reasonably in a lineup go with like a Donato, Beniers, and then even if you all four Ottawa's kind of a lot, but let's just say we do Norris and Brady, just kind of format it like that. That feels pretty good, and it saves you a lot of salary to like just load up on Vegas, where you could go like Pacioretty, Pietrangelo, Theodore, maybe even something like that. Get both defensemen. I'm fine with that with Vegas. That's kind of an interesting narrative, I think, to get away from some of the chalk as well, because a lot of people are going to come in on Calgary 1. And like I said, I'm kind of thinking about fading it myself. And I think if you make enough lineups, you should play it. But that's kind of one of my DFS thoughts in general. The last game of the night is going to be the most interesting for a playoff perspective. It's Dallas at Vancouver. I don't think this game has like a metric ton of offensive upside to it. We also do have Bo Horvat out, which is he's really profiling well for everything right now, and he's not going to play for probably the rest of the year. Dallas -120. I like that just fine. I think I'll probably include it in a smaller mix. I don't think this Vancouver team is completely inept, but losing Horvat is kind of tough. He really was a pretty big offensive catalyst for them as of late. Not that they've been solely relying on him, but he's been actually really, really good for them. So I do think it's a bigger loss than some people might give it credit for. Anyways, I just, this game in general, I don't have a ton of upside. I think you could get over the 5.5 -125 they have now. It should be right around there. Dallas is really profiling well offensively, but this is because they've been really good at puck possession. And that's why I like them in this matchup. And that's why I kind of like them going forward. So I'm in on Dallas in general, but I don't really think I'm going to get overly crazy. Like I like saying like maybe just take Dallas with that Carolina under 6.5 as two of my favorite bets. And playing them together. I don't know if I'm going to throw Ottawa in that mix and make it a 3-leg parlay. That just kind of is getting a little too far for me to think that all three of those events are going to happen. But I do like it a lot. Maybe this is where you throw Vegas puck line in. I feel a little bit better about that. And also Vegas does as well. So favorite bets of the night. Let's do that now. And then, I'll give a couple props at the end. There's really nothing in this Dallas Vancouver game, by the way, that I'm like crazy bullish on. I think the top line in Dallas is fine for point props, but I can't keep betting their shot props. They burn me. It's Russian roulette. I mean, it's very rare all three of them hit because they're a team that is seeming to me at least, and I'm going to try to dive into this a little bit further. Actually, let's just take a look. Their Corsi for per 60 is I can't even find them. They're gotta be up. Yeah, right in the middle. They're right in the middle. So their shot attempts not great. They're right in the middle of the league. I really think this is a team that's trying everything they can to just set up themselves for the better chances rather than the maximum volume. Like Florida's like, keep shooting. Let's shoot everything. Dallas is just not really doing that. And for that reason, they're kind of getting way more expected goals than maybe the shot volume is predicating. So I'm much more interested in their point props, and I really struggled not to take the top line. So favorite bets of the night. I think, money line wise, it's definitely Ottawa and Dallas. Those are easy. There's really nothing else on the money line side. That puck line is Vegas for me. I think they profile the best here. And probably, Carolina's right with them, as well as Calgary's right there. I'm not gonna lie. But I think if I'm betting Carolina, I like Carolina to win under 6.5. I don't trust Arizona to score. They should see very little upside on their offense. And it's not like Carolina has nothing to play for at all. They still could win the first in the conference, which is huge. So that is all. And I think the Rangers are kind of not too far behind them either. If I recall correctly, I could probably look that up quick. But yeah, I have no issue with betting any of these really in general. But let me take a look quick. So yeah, the Rangers are tied with them now. They really can't afford to lose this one here. So I'm fine with it. So yeah, the Carolina under 6.5. That feels like probably my favorite bet of the night. Plus 120. That feels pretty good. Yeah, I think I'll get you out of here. It's probably plenty long enough. DFS wise, I'll just go over some of my favorite stacks quickly because there's no Morning Skate podcast. I think in general, my favorite stack of the night is going to come through Vegas. I know I'm going to end up playing Pacioretty, Stone, Eichel, and Pietrangelo in a lineup that all correlates on the power play. Stephenson, it also correlates 5-on-5. So I think Stone, Pacioretty, and Stephenson make the most logical sense. I think Eichel can mix in. I'm fine with going 5-man here. And I really might with Vegas. That's my favorite stack of the entire night. 4 or 5-man. And this big of a slate, you don't have to. And then I think Ottawa's going to mix in a good bit. Norris, Brady, and probably no defenseman. It might just be those two. Those are two of my favorites. And then, Carolina's do get piled on. I might get cheap with Nino and stall in a couple builds, but yeah, that's probably where I'm going to be. Most of my lineup construction is going to stem from. Your Tushkin also, if you're stacking Colorado, makes a ton of sense. And I do think that stack does make sense. There's enough cheap options as well to get OV in as a one-off. And I really do think that you might want to consider that, especially if you do go down with some Seattle path. With Beniers and Donato, getting like an OV bring back, a OV one-off and maybe a Colorado stack. I think that line would make a ton of sense as well. Ottawa could still give up goals, even though I think they're the team to win. Like they might win 4-3, and you're totally fine with that. Okay, so I'll get you out of here. Thanks for watching. Rate, review, all that stuff, and I'll be back tomorrow.